Hello, everyone. Welcome to another live guest interview within Mindful Journey. We're so excited to have you here today. And if this is your first time joining us, again, welcome. If you've been with us for a number of these conversations, welcome back. As always, please feel free to put any questions you may have into the chat function, and then we'll get to them on the back end of the discussion. Our guest today is unique in many ways, that we've had so many overwhelmingly amazing guests, and Ron Foxcroft is no exception. But he's unique in sense of he's not only been successful in business and as an entrepreneur, and as you likely all have seen in advance, he has refereed at a very, very high level. But Ron is actually an inventor of a product. We've had other guests who have invented businesses and built technologies and such, but Ron found a need in the marketplace when he was a referee, as he'll maybe share a little bit with us today. He was in a arena full of 16,000 people. His whistle had failed him at the time. There was a P in it, and all eyes were on him. So in that moment, he devoted his time, attention, and energies and dollars to building out what is now the Fox 40 whistle. If memory serves me, and Ron, please feel free to jump in and correct me. I believe about 15,000 of these products are shipped daily and to 140 different countries. If you've ever watched any of the audience listening in today, if you've ever watched a hockey game, a professional basketball game, a collegiate basketball game, rest assured the whistles that you're hearing are from a Fox 40. He's been appointed to the Order of Canada, which is the highest distinguished award for a citizen in Canada. He's been an Entrepreneur of the Decade by Profit Magazine. He's a motivational speaker. But beyond all of that, Ron and I got acquainted about a year or so ago, have many mutual connections, and had the good fortune to meet him in person. And he carries himself with a humility, with a care, with a desire to serve. And that's what I'm most excited about and having him today. So, Ron, thank you for being here. Looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely my pleasure. And Adam, that was accurate. 100% accurate. 15,000 whistles a day, made in North America. We serve 140 countries. And as you've correctly stated, involved in every sport on the planet. But we're equally as proud because our whistle is a safety tool used in search and rescue, lifeguards, safety, marine, um, boating safety, and basically it has used to save lives. So we're also very, very proud about the fact that it's used in sport, but also to save lives as a life-saving tool.
Mm, admirable. I'm so glad you brought that up. And that leads me into a first question for you. Of all what you've been able to be involved in, Ron, what continues to drive you today? What is your purpose, your personal purpose that gets you excited to wake up every day?
Oh, terrific question. Accomplishment. Uh, at my age, there's much more to accomplish. There's much more to contribute. There's much more to contribute to society. There's much more you can do good in society. You know, business isn't just about making money. It's the impact that you can make on the world, on society, in other people, your teammates. My greatest joy, number one, there's more to accomplish. I have a trucking company, very hard business to run. Trucking. We're 104 years old. We're named Fluke Transport. And our slogan is famous. If it's on time, it's a fluke. And on all 650 trailers on the back door, it has, if it's on time, it's a fluke. The slogan has won many awards. But what I mean by that, my greatest joy right now is watching my team succeed. and the impact that my team can make on their customers, their society. And also with Fox 40, many years ago, we invented the best whistle in the world. And one of our secrets in business, surround yourself with people that are A, achievers, B, smarter than you. You've got two ears and one mouth to use proportionately. And the greatest thing, I wake up every day, can't wait to get to work, because the great joy is watching my people succeed, enjoy what they're doing, having fun, and making an impact on society.
Mm, love that. It's really rooted what I'm hearing from you in impact, and what an admirable pursuit, and something I think we all can take away. I think sometimes when folks are immersed in a role that they don't love or they don't like, or they're having a difficult moment in their personal life, they can lose sight of that impact. Is there something that you have done in your life that has allowed you to stay singularly focused on that impact? Do I don't know if that's connected with that, because we have listeners from all industries, walks of life, ages, quite frankly, and I'd like to pull out the big lesson that I'm hearing from you of impact, but some might be listening and saying, well, I don't love my work as much as Ron. How can I still focus on impact?
You know, you said a key word, focus. When I'm at work, I do everything imaginable to avoid distractions and focus on the end game. And Adam, you will respect this more than anybody because you're a terrific basketball referee. And the one thing I learned as a basketball referee, and I'm a basketball referee, which when I came into the basketball business, it was a lot different because I'm from Canada. And back when I got involved, if you didn't referee or play hockey, you weren't considered an equal Canadian. So there was me refereeing basketball. And I went down, I did the Olympic gold medal basketball game and went down to the USA. Uh, love the USA. And all my friends in the USA taught me how to be a good basketball referee. Because at the time, Adam, um, basketball was a hobby and an avocation in Canada. In the United States, it was, even at the high school level, it was perceived to be somewhat of a business. And then when I went into Division 1, I found out very quickly it was a business. And you know what they taught me? They taught me the business. They taught me, because I was not very good. I thought I was decent because I came out of but when I went down to Division 1, I figured there's a lot to learn. And they taught me during the 2 hours approximately of a game, the only thing on your mind, the only thing in your life is that game. Focus. Adam, you use the word focus, and I call it focus and avoid distractions, concentration. And that was a learning experience. And I didn't get that right away. I kind of was, I'd go into a game thinking about issues at home, issues at the business, and so on. And my mentors, and of course, surround yourself with smart people, find a mentor. A mentor doesn't, a mentor tells you what you want to hear the least amount of times. They tell you the truth often. So then they become a coach. So you go into work, and in my case, I can't wait to get to work, but concentration, avoid distractions, and focus. I steal that word from you. You said focus, and that was a great intro to the way I feel about it. Focus, avoid distractions.
Mhm, mhm. Throughout your day, when you feel that you're maybe getting off track and maybe out of focus, what gets you back to the here and now? Do you
Yeah.
journal? Do you carve out time in your day for, just quiet time? Do you exercise? Again, I'm just trying to provide examples of where my headspace is going to try to glean insights from you as to, because focus for 12 straight hours can be increasingly hard, especially in our day of technology now. So,
A lot of technology
yeah.
now. We've lost that secret of personal people communication.
Yeah.
We resort to this darn thing
Yeah.
instead of taking 20 steps down the hall and looking at you eyeball to eyeball and sharing body language and uh, what are challenges today, what are opportunities. But you're right. My day, I get to work at 7 o'clock. I'm 79 years old. Mom and
Amazing.
dad told me, and I was a lousy student. I got expelled from high school from for selling the answer to the detention question. The principal and I didn't really see eye to eye. Now, since then, I've got a couple of honorary degrees and I'm getting an honorary degree on June the 19th. But no, you can't focus and concentrate for 12 hours. So you need that escape. And I have a gym upstairs that I go to at least 4 days a week. And I have a personal trainer that comes in, and that's my distraction. I have two dogs sitting right beside me here. I'm at the office and I have these two dogs, and we go for a couple of really nice walks uh, every day. And what a wonderful distraction that is. But once I come back and sit where I'm sitting, you can see I'm at my desk. Behind me is the flag. Behind me is the whistle that went to the Fox 40 that went to the International Space Station by an American astronaut. Can I take a few seconds and tell you how that happened?
Please. Yes, please.
I got a phone call here from NASA Houston, and they said, we have an astronaut. His name's Clayton Anderson, who is a basketball referee, and he wants to take your whistle to the International Space Station. And I said, this is a prank. This can't be NASA Houston. Give me your phone number. And I hung up, called back. NASA Houston. They asked for a box of Fox 40 whistles because, they have to weigh them by the ounce. If you're going to take a rocket ship to the moon or to the International Space Station, everything in that rocket ship is measured in ounces.
Mm.
And they took it. And it was true. This basketball referee, I believe he was in the SEC conference, Clayton Anderson, he took it to the International Space Station, sent it back. You'll see behind me with a certificate of authenticity that the rocket ship went to the International Space Station traveling 17,500 miles an hour, and they used the whistle. And
Wow.
behind me is a picture of Clayton, two astronauts, the letter, and the whistle. So back to concentration.
That's really cool.
You got to have that escape that takes you from your focus. But Adam, when you're refereeing a basketball game, if you're not 100% focused and allow distractions, your career as a basketball referee could be cut very short
Certainly.
because there can be nothing going on in your head or your life. And, I was running a trucking company at the time and starting Fox 40. There were a lot of distractions. You can't allow that.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that story. I did not know. I failed to mention your book as well with our listeners, the 40 Ways of the Fox, but I did. I haven't finished it yet, admittedly, but did read in there about the whistle being in space, and I thought that was very, very cool. So appreciate you sharing that. Ron, one of the things that we're trying to do in Mindful Journey, and I think you probably have a little bit of context for now because I kind of walked you through the overall platform, but these conversations particularly, we're wanting to embrace vulnerability, of course, just humanize this shared experience of life because all of us have got something, right? If not now, we may in the future. And I know a little bit of your story now, the entrepreneurial piece of, and you even mentioned in the book, being in debt with your whistle as you went out to, trying to devise it. In those moments, and for particularly for those listening who might be in a difficult spot right now, or even if they're not in a difficult spot, what do you recall of your mindset in those moments that gave you the courage? Because from my vantage point, I foresee it as courage to continue forth in spite of everyone telling you no or you can't and being down in your luck. What do you recall that gave you that kind of courage and nudge to keep going in pursuit of what you believe in?
Couple of things, and I'll get to the result of that. But you're right. I came out of high school without graduating, basically unemployable. And I was able to buy an insolvent um, trucking company with people communication skills. The family that were, and without any money, and the family that were selling this company, there were three brothers, and one of them I detected because of personal communication skills, looking at somebody, looking at the body language, looking at their eyes. And I said, Bobby, you want more than money? And he said, yeah. He said, I want a job for life without a whole lot of responsibilities. And I said, Bobby, you've got it. But you've got to convince your two brothers to take money over time, which he did. I bought this becoming insolvent trucking company with 12 trucks, 9 of which didn't operate. And now we have 200 trucks, 600 trailers, 1 million square feet of warehouse. But it wasn't that easy. And I think that because of people communication skills face to face, I could see in his body language, he wanted something more than that. So right during the growth of the trucking company where we had no money, I was refereeing basketball games to buy groceries. And at the same time, my whistle with the P kept getting stuck. And I realized, first of all, if you're going to have a new product, you got to have a need. If there's not a need, there's no reason for a new product. But everywhere I went, the Olympic Games, the pre-Olympic Games in Brazil where they shoot referees, my whistle failed. The Astrodome, the Superdome, North Carolina. I did Michael Jordan's first game, and my whistle with the P got stuck. So I'm starting a trucking company, refereeing basketball games to pay for groceries. And basically, I learned about adversity. Everybody encounters adversity. In my case, was running a trucking company with no money, trying to establish a refereeing career, and trying to invent a whistle, a P-less whistle that I knew wouldn't fail. And adversity. Everybody encounters adversity. How you handle adversity defines you. And if everybody on this call, you're defined on how you handle adversity. You have to treat adversity not as a failure, but as a temporary setback. And secondly, a learning experience. And what did I learn from this adversity, trying to trucking and refereeing and whistles, was basically perseverance. Perseverance, plan, and perseverance. Perseverance is a key word that every business person, everyone in your career has to put at the top of the level. Perseverance. Don't give up. And I'll tell you, during the whistle, I hired an engineer, a scientist, a PhD in sound, and a music teacher with no money.
Mm.
And they gave me credit because my trucking company was now getting known with the slogan. And they felt, well, if you're running a trucking company, you must be honest. And if you're a Canadian referee in Division One, you must be decent. So perseverance. But I had a $150,000 debt. I had two whistle prototypes. My wife said I had two whistles worth $75,000 each, and I wasn't too bright. And I gave up. I gave up owing 150,000, couldn't sell the whistle, couldn't get over the hump, wasn't dealing with adversity. And now my mentor said to me, you're my friend, but I'm your mentor. And I don't have friends that are quitters.
Mm.
He said, you're not giving up. And with that, I wasn't prepared to lose my mentor and my friendship. And I kept going. We got the whistle, got it to work. I couldn't sell it in Canada. It took 2 months to try, and nobody would buy it. Too loud, too soft, too black, too white. Went to United States. Luckily for me, I got assigned to work the Pan American Games in Indianapolis, and I checked into the dormitory where the referees live. You've stayed in dormitories where referees live. And at 2 o'clock in the morning, I went upstairs and blew the whistle, and 400 referees came running and woke them all up. But they knew the sound of a good whistle, and they said, what is it? I said, it's a Fox 40. They said, can we buy it? I said, no, it's on back order. That week, we sold 20,000 whistles.
Wow.
And, but just think, going back, if I didn't handle adversity, treat adversity like it was defining me, remembered the word perseverance, and my mentor said, I don't have friends that are quitters.
Mm.
Perseverance.
Yeah. It reminds me of the importance of relationships today, Ron. Just having folks in your corner who are going to pick you up when you're down. And
Yeah.
I think I read something briefly in your book about self-made, that there is really there's no like idea of self-made in essence, which I don't know if I'm misquoting, but I've always subscribed to that myself, even if you've kind of taken the path with any outside funding as it relates to business, et cetera, and grown, kind of bootstrapping it, if you will, you still need people who are going to support you and lift you up when you're down and be there to run ideas off of. And it sounds like you capitalized on that. Today, it feels as though relationships are harder and harder to build because of some of that technology. And my fear, I'm a relationship guy. I love being knees to knees with people. I love the energy that comes from sitting with someone, and I like looking people, eye to eye. For those who might be fearful, though, Ron, because of some of this over engagement with technology, we've maybe become reliant on it. We're now shy in person. What do you recommend for someone who's maybe more of an introvert to get themselves out of their comfort zone, to deepen relationships that they have?
You know, I I was shy. I was very introverted and very self-conscious
Mm.
about not having an education. And today, it's a lot harder because of all this technology. I am a great believer in all the technology that's out there. I think we have to be careful with social media because there's a lot of fiction on social media, even in medicine.
Mm.
So many people are going to Dr. Google when
Mm.
they have a medical ailment.
Mm.
So I think we really have to embrace technology. We have told our people here, and of course we're in trucking, and now everything is technology. You can track where your drivers are. You can track how many minutes they stop for a Tim Hortons.
Wow.
In Canada we
Yeah, I
call
know Tim Hortons. Yeah.
in Canada
For
we
for
call
American viewers, that's like
it's
Dunkin'
either
Donuts or
coffee or
Starbucks.
Starbucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I embrace that. And I ask my people, and my technology genius here at the company, he's never on time. I don't understand one single word he says, but I love him because I said I want our technology to be world class. The other thing too, I just about being world class. No matter what you do, you have to be world class. Whether you provide a product, a service, or a technology, you have to be world class. And I'll tell you how I learned about that. We invented the best whistle in the world. We're trying to become the best company in the world. We're trying to become the best whistle company in the world. That's a great journey. You may not, mindful journey may not be the best in the world at your service, but that journey to become the best is a great journey. So, specifically to answer your questions, you need to surround yourself with important people. And what I did to get over, I could never talk to more than two people. And I found in business, sometimes you have to convince a room full of people what your idea is. I
Mhm.
took the Dale Carnegie course, How to Win Friends and Influence
Yeah,
People.
sure.
They taught you how to talk and how to communicate and how to make an impact in a group of people. And it was great. I have a long way to go in people communication skills, but that's the most beautiful thing about it. Life learning. I'm trying
Hmm.
to learn how to write better, how to communicate better, and how to speak in front of a group better to make that impact. So
Hmm.
for those people
Wow.
that introverted or shy, you can't solve a problem if you don't admit the problem. And I
Mm,
had to look in the mirror and say, you're a problem. And
mm.
now you can get on the road to a solution.
Yes, yes. Wow, Ron, that speaks. First of all, I didn't even know your age prior to this, and I would certainly not have guessed that. Not giving you lip service, it's true. You carry yourself with an energy and a passion, and but being that you did mention your age, I'd like to double down on that because what you just said is profound from my vantage point. You're in at this stage in your late 70s. I believe you said 79. Is that what you said?
Yep. 79.
79, 79, and you're still learning how to communicate today, still wanting to enhance how you interact and engage and reading books, etc. today.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's just a powerful testament from that I'd like to segue into a question for you because I think sometimes people they finish college or they finish 100 books and they're like, oh, my learning has stopped. I'm done. And I'd be curious, from your perspective, um, is there something in particular that you do that allows you to operate with this continued curiosity?
Oh,
Because,
yes. Yes.
yeah, please.
I partially answered that. Life is life learning. And you have to make a list in the old fashioned days on a whiteboard, now on your computer, of things that you would like to do better. I would like to write better. I would like to be able to learn more about the technology that's available to us in this century that we're living in right now. So I have just enrolled in a college online to be a more, shall we say, electric in understanding and learning about technology. I am not good at technology and I'm not good at writing. And, technology, well, we need two things. We need more of people communication skills. I still write handwritten thank you cards
Love that.
because sending an email is too easy. It's just too easy. I like the old way. If I owe somebody a thank you, that's deserving. I just met a fellow yesterday who did a nice favor, unsolicited favor. This morning, first thing I came in and wrote him a thank you card. And so that's really important. But Adam, you have to come in over a period of time and you have to acknowledge that it's life learning and what do you want to get better at? Everybody is good at something.
Mhm.
Now, humbly, if you ask me, what am I good at now? Not very much, but creating an atmosphere in our companies for my team to succeed. I don't need to tell them how to do their job. I need to create an environment for them to succeed with an open door. And I'm available if you don't understand something, if you have a question. The other thing, I don't allow in my offices the word can't. When the most important thing in your life, in business, is your customer. We breathe oxygen. Our oxygen is our customer. And when a customer calls here with a question, we are not allowed to say can't. If we don't know the answer, then the answer is simply don't know the answer. They don't use the word can't, but I will find out. And the second thing, very important, is follow up. I judge people on how they handle adversity, but I also judge people on how their follow up is. And you are terrific at that. When I send you an email, you reply. Now, you may be on an airplane or something, and we have to be reasonable today at accepting a time limit for replies because somebody, can be on an airplane for 2 days. But I judge people how they handle adversity on how they handle their response.
Hmm. I love that. I love that. Well, Ron, you are super responsive, so you're a practitioner of what you preach,
That's
and
right.
I believe in that wholeheartedly. I've always believed that, you know, our time is equal from a standpoint of, and one of the psychiatrists I interviewed in this platform really helped me articulate it in a better way. She said, when you're showing up late to somewhere and not really, within reason, not sharing with the person you're going to meet that, why you're late. It's basically showing that you are more important than them. You don't value their time. So, anyways,
Yeah,
I don't want to get sidetracked. There was a question that came in. I think it's a
I see
timely
it.
one. So, okay. Yep.
What is the most important trait that has helped you build your business? And
Yes. Yeah.
can I answer this right now?
Please. That would be
On
wonderful. Yep.
that? Really, really simple. Surround yourself with achievers and people smarter than you. Every single person in our company, we have 300 employees, 100 distributors, is better at what they do than I am. So I've surrounded myself with people smarter than me at what they do. Like I
Mhm.
say, the one thing I do is create an atmosphere that will allow them to be successful with an open door. Number two, I'm going to repeat myself, perseverance. It's a key word. It is a key word. You're going to encounter, some people call it failures, temporary setbacks, but you need to have perseverance and you need to learn from that setback. And by surrounding, I'll tell you, when we were just about 3.5 years designing the whistle, and I couldn't get it to properly come out of the mold with sinkholes in the plastic, or the sound wouldn't come out. Finally, I was able to, thanks to the engineer, correct the sound. But coming out of the mold, the whistle would come out with little sinkholes. So I'm not smart enough to figure that out. What did I do? I went to what I thought was the smartest plastic manufacturing company in the world and used my 2 ears, one mouth proportionately, with a question. They gave me the answer. You're using the wrong grade plastic. Here's a bag of the plastic you should be using. So surround yourself with people smarter than you at what they do, and use perseverance, and everything becomes now a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to say one thing about a business. You know, number one, keep score from day one. That is your P&L
Mm-hmm.
in your bank statement. You'd never play a basketball game without keeping score,
That's true.
or a football game, or a hockey game, or a baseball game. You should never start a business without keeping score. I
Mm-hmm.
kept score from minute one. I knew my bank balance, which was pretty darn meager, from day two. So we have a CFO, 3 controllers, and boy, do I listen to them. Keep score from day one. Daily cash. You know, I've been in business a long time. I still get my daily cash report.
That's amazing, Ron. I love that. You're getting me. We're probably, for people who aren't nerds for business, maybe like you and I, they might not appreciate it as deeply, but you're getting me fired up because there's so many lessons, and
Yeah.
I love it. There is a follow-up question to that. Um, Thank you for answering these questions. Another question to follow up on your point of not giving up. When do you know, this is a good one, I think. I'd love to hear your perspective. When do you know when it's time to pivot or when it's time to double down?
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Um, your gut tells you. There's nothing scientific about when you have to pivot, but there's only one person that knows when you have to do a pivot. You, because you're living it. You're in the you're in the middle of it. That's the time when your lawyer, your accountant, your mentor really doesn't know. But if you have established focus, concentration, and you're living it, then you have the tools to know when to pivot. For example, when you're having trouble with a truck, don't ask the owner of the trucking company what's wrong with that truck. Ask the driver and the mechanic. Then you'll know when you have to pivot and repair that truck or buy a new one.
Mhm.
So your gut, if you're truly committed to your company, you've established focus, you've avoided distractions, you're living it. That's when you know it's time. And you know, when it's time to pivot, I will listen to advice, but I also know that I'm living it, in the middle of it. And on that particular occasion, I'm best qualified to know when to pivot.
Mhm. Yes, 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 yes. Good stuff. I think that's a common feeling amongst entrepreneurs today because business owners, business leaders, CEOs, or true inventors or entrepreneurs who are building something from the ground up, they oftentimes can get so attached to their thing that they don't always see that maybe it is time to pivot. Maybe it's time to, in some occurrences, uh, I subscribe to perseverance too. I love that. I'm a believer of it. I've been a practitioner of it. But there are some things that maybe we get attached to that the way it's designed, just like you mentioned with your whistle, needing a different type of plastic. Had you
Right.
not found a different type of plastic, that whistle would not have worked in the marketplace. You needed to
No,
know that a different type of whistle was going to work. So your feedback is important there for sure.
timing's
Okay.
everything too. Uh, timing, I was at the right time when people were using a P whistle and it was failing. The other thing, sometimes, we're having a problem right now with electric cars.
Mhm.
Electric cars aren't meeting the expectations in sales that they would thought they would, which is probably maybe the surge in electric cars in this country, in Canada, might be 10 years from now. I don't think we should give up on that because, the environment's really important and we're into climate change and nobody respects that more than us in the trucking business, trying to go carbon neutral. But right now, the sale of electric cars in North America isn't meeting the expectations that we expected 2 or 3 years ago. It's all about timing. Let's not give up. Let's just
Mhm.
say, electric trucks cost $100,000 more than a gas diesel powered truck. Well, technology is going to bring that cost down. So maybe it's just timing.
Mhm.
Sometimes timing has to be in your favor. Sometimes timing is not in your favor.
Mhm.
Sometimes you're ahead of your time. Timing
So true. So
is important.
true. So true. I'd like to pivot just a
Yeah.
bit to your personal story a bit. And you've been so open with us already, and your vulnerability has been appreciated. But one question I ask of every guest, and I think I'd shared with you in advance, is very intentional to really allow our listeners to have some coping mechanisms that they can rely on in their own life. And I've kind of already asked this to you, but to your level of comfort, Ron, what I'd love to hear from you is what what's the most challenging thing you've gone through in your life? And more importantly, perhaps, what do you recall having done to get through it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was actually having no education and being unemployable.
Mm,
And thank goodness back then, my mom and dad said to me, you don't have to be the smartest student in the neighborhood, but Ronald, you have to be seen as the hardest working person in the neighborhood. Boy, that I'm 79 years old. That was when I was 17. I dreamed that. I lived that every day. I am afraid of somebody discovering that I maybe not be the hardest working person in my neighborhood, in my city. And I still feel guilty when I leave work. Now, at 79 years of age, I am slowing down a titch. I get here at 7 o'clock in the morning. I still work for the NBA. I'm a courtside administrator for the NBA. So sometimes my day ends at 1 o'clock in the morning. But on a normal day, I turn my phone off. I am going to confess to all your audience. I turn my phone off and I turn my email off at 9 o'clock at night. And it used to be 11. So there, you may have some listeners that accuse me of not being the hardest working guy in the neighborhood. They're probably correct. I confess. you know, but that that got me through that. And then the
Mm,
second thing I've repeated, um, recognize your weaknesses, admit it, your weaknesses, admit it. Life is life learning. I've shared with you. I want to learn how to write better. I want to learn more about technology. I want to get better at that. I want to improve my people communication skills.
mm,
And I still need help in handling adversity because, as I said, I'll give you an example. Today, I can handle adversity better than I could 20 years ago. But 20 years ago, I had a 6-year hauling agreement with a big company. And I went to the bank and bought 14 trucks. So I had payments on 14 trucks. A year into this 6-year hauling agreement, the person called me and said, my brother-in-law just bought a trucking company and you're out. Well, I don't believe in the litigation lottery, and I don't believe in suing a customer or a potential customer that just violated a 6-year hauling agreement. What I said was, be professional. I got in the car and I went down and I looked him in the eyes and I said, I'm disappointed to lose this contract. I didn't tell him I had payments on 14 trucks.
yeah, yeah.
But uh, if it doesn't work out, give me a call. A year later, he called me. He said, will you come back and
Wow.
honor this hauling agreement? I said, uh, Albert, is it because our service, price, and my slogan is better than any other trucking? He said, no. He said, when I threw you out, if that was me, I would have come in and punched me right in the face. Instead, you were professional, which made an impact on me. And when you said, Albert, if it doesn't work out, give me a call. He said, for 365 days, I remembered that you were professional.
Wow.
Now, that was handling adversity 20 or 25 years ago. What a lesson that was to me, that adversity is only a temporary setback.
Mm,
And your listeners, never get too high, never get too low. You're going to encounter that adversity. You're going to encounter disappointments. We just had a customer that got technology hacked,
mm,
owing us $500,000. That's adversity. And all we said to that customer was, you will work it out. How can we help you
mm,
work it out? Like being hacked is a terrible thing
mm,
today.
mm.
It can put people out of business.
Yes.
And, you know, that lesson I learned about the hauling agreement got transferred into dealing with this customer that suddenly owed us $500,000 on a receivable. We're working it out and we're getting $20,000 a week, working with them, not really blaming them because
Yes.
there's no blame.
Yes.
So handling adversity, dealing with adversity, learning that it's a learning experience.
Mhm. So many powerful nuggets from there too, Ron. I feel like I'm sitting in a motivational speech here myself. I'm, in a virtual arrangement, but it's a powerful reminder of I don't know who said it. I'm stealing somebody's phrase, but I've heard before, the time is always right to do what is right.
Oh,
And integrity is
golden
what I'm
rule.
hearing from you. Yeah, integrity is what I'm hearing from you. Just treating people. Go ahead, please.
Mom and dad taught me the golden rule. My mom was a church organist, and she taught me the golden do unto others as you would have them do upon you. And you know what I've learned from that? I took it a little bit further. You never go wrong doing the right thing, right?
So
And
true.
You never go wrong doing the right thing. Sometimes you'll be criticized. You know, politicians today do a lot of things to get reelected. Good politicians do the right thing that may not get them reelected.
Mm,
That's
mm,
the problem we have in this country politically. Sometimes, I mean,
mm.
you know, kudos to people that give to their country, to their province, to their state, to their service, to their municipality. God bless them. Some of them, and you know, everybody has a black sheep. Every industry has a couple of black sheep. You can't judge every industry that has one or two black sheep.
That's
Every
right.
industry has one or two bad apples.
That's right. Yeah, but not allowing your energy to be drained because of them is an
Right.
important lesson, and I'm hearing that from you. Well, I'd love to just close, Ron, to be mindful of your time, just with some. You've given us so much inspiration and encouragement and motivation, but typically a question asked again of every guest is really for our listeners who might be in somewhat of a hopeless state. We don't want to, we don't want to close with negativity, but actually positivity, but we want to embrace the idea that folks are still facing life today, perhaps now more than ever before. When you turn on the news, there's negativity, and I'll never bring this to politics, but
No.
regardless of where you stand politically, there's some angst and some tension and some perceived despair. So people aren't sure of what's coming, what's next, and as a result, I think it can be hard for folks to just navigate their day sometimes with optimism. So, what's your message today for someone who might be listening, who's going through divorce, they're facing an illness, they're dealing with the difficulty, or they're just hearing some of the stuff in the world and they're feeling hopeless? What is your message for that person today?
Yes. Real simple. And I know it sounds simple. Time is a healer. What seems today as insurmountable, try and look 12 months in advance of where that may not be as insurmountable. And I always say, you know, you can be going through bad health challenges, you can be going through bad family situations, and so on. Try and look, it's really difficult, but leaders can do this. Look beyond today, look to next week, next month. Uh, you know, a friend of mine was going through a divorce and was hesitating on doing what he thought he should do. And I said, you know, Roy, if you are indecisive today, we're going to be having this same conversation 12 months from now.
Mm,
So be decisive and deal with the problem today.
mhm.
The worst thing that people have are procrastinators. If you you can't solve a problem if you don't admit the problem. Admit the problem, be decisive, work on a plan to solve the problem, and see where you're going to be 12 months from now. Because if you're indecisive and you're not going to solve the problem today, we're going to be having the very same conversation 12 months from now. Be
Mhm.
decisive, be a believer, and learn from it.
Mhm. Beautiful. What a way to close. Ron, thank you so much. I'm deeply grateful for your time today. I'll pause for just a moment to see if any of the guests who are on with us have any additional questions. But I, again, just want to say to you here for everyone to hear and to you to know my deep appreciation and thanks. I found your insights to be not only encouraging, but practical. And I know we centered around business a lot, but I think there was so much that can be pulled to just humanity. So appreciate you, and I look forward to staying in touch and hopefully bringing Mindful Journey to Canada sometime soon.
We're going to do that.
I love
Absolutely.
it.
That's going
I
to
love
happen.
it.
Yeah.
I love
Thank you
that.
for this opportunity, Adam.
My pleasure. Thank you, Ron. Take care, everyone. Take
Bye to
care, Ron.
everybody.
See ya.